Okay, well, it's a new week in our class, February 19th through the 24th, and the topic is active learning with technology. So there's actually quite a bit, so buckle up. Get ready to go. There is a lot of good things, though, this week, I think, that will help you to prepare for an assignment coming up a little bit this week. So that's, of course, what I want to talk about a little bit first is this assignment. So during the week of spring break, is when the active learning project is due. So it's still a few more weeks away, but yeah, due March 10th. But I wanted you to know about it now because it does take some time to do and to implement in your classroom if you're a classroom teacher. So for this project, choose an existing lesson plan that you have created and or taught to your students. This sounds familiar, doesn't it? The past project was like that as well. There was the authentic learning and you had to choose an existing lesson plan. In this case, your job is to add some technology-supported activities that provide for active learning. And remember that active learning involves students manipulating their environment and observing the effects. This can lead to learning as long as students are thinking about the results of their actions on the environment. Implement this new lesson in your class and reflect upon the experience. So beyond what the last assignment asked for, this one asks you to implement this actually in your class. And so that's why the due date's a little bit further along, a few weeks away, because now you can start thinking about it and trying to make a plan for it to go into your class this semester. If you will not be able to get it into your class by March 10th, though, that's okay. Just let me know. It can go, if you want to do it in a few weeks after that or whenever, that's probably going to be just fine. So just kind of be in contact with me. You can respond to me using Remind or something, and we'll talk about that. So here's the items you should submit. Use the original unchanged lesson plan. Remember that lesson plan could be pretty elaborate, but it could also just be a little bit of a paragraph describing what you would have done before. A link to the technology activity that was used to support this lesson, and an updated lesson plan that now includes the use of technology for active learning, including all the elements that you're familiar with. Although I should mention that you should include a description of how active learning is supported in the lesson using technology. Make sure there is some kind of a description of that that's separate, saying, active learning is supported by these technologies. Here's how I supported active learning, which includes manipulation and observation among my students. And then finally, there's the reflection piece, and that just means reflecting upon how the lesson went in your class. Did it go well? List a few successes that occurred. List a few challenges that occurred during the planning, implementation, and or assessment. And then discuss a few ideas for redesign if you were to teach this lesson again. So you taught it to your class, you tried this new thing out, how would you change it for next time? And that's just the way we should be as teachers, always be reflecting upon what we might change for the future in our lesson plans and how we might do it for the next time around differently. And then there's a rubric for how you'll be graded for that assignment. Now, as far as technologies go, that's what we're talking about this week. And there are two main areas of technologies that I encourage you to choose from to support active learning. The first one is interactive whiteboard software, and the second one is classroom response system software. So those are the two different areas that you're going to be learning about in this week's activities. So as we look at this week's activities then, February 19th, oops, wrong one, there we go. You're going to check out the Supporting Active Student-Centered Learning with an Interactive Whiteboard. There are some videos. There's a link to my textbook with videos attached there showing how to use Smart Notebook, Promethean Active Inspire, and other software. Open Sankoria being the example there. So you can kind of read through those and look at those if that's something that you want to do for your assignment. The Promethean Active Inspire software, as it mentions here, though, is moving away. They're not using that as much anymore. They're moving towards using ClassFlow. And so that's why I included a separate ClassFlow presentation right here. You can look at that. ClassFlow is actually really good software. I've really been impressed with it. It's a little buggy, but it's overall very good software for supporting active learning in the classroom. And you can see that in that video, how to do that. And then Smart Lab is another one you can do, and that's something that's available. But that's only available to certain school districts, and so I'm not putting too much on there. But if you would like to, you can click on this link and watch the video and learn more about what that does as well. And then after this video plays through, there's a second video showing you how to make the ClassFlow lessons. and activities. So that's the active student-centered learning with an interactive whiteboard. Here's another one, classroom response systems for active learning. You'll take a look at the different videos that I've recorded for some of these new tools. Maybe they're not new, but different tools for classroom response systems. There's Pear Deck, Poll Everywhere, Kahoot, and just go ahead and click on those and watch the videos about those as well if you want to learn more about those, because you could choose one of those as well. If you didn't want to use, let's say, Smart Notebook or ClassFlow, you could choose Pear Deck or Kahoot or something else like that. But I would say that whatever you do choose, try to choose something that's somewhat new to you, that requires you to do a little bit of stretching, or is in, what do they call that, Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, meaning that by choosing that tool, you'll learn something new. But it won't be completely new and super hard for you to do. That you'll be able to still handle it well enough, but it will take some work on your part to learn about the new tool that you choose. Because what's the point, right? What's the point of being in this class if we're not trying to learn something new? So don't pick something that you already are a ninja about or already know very well. Try to choose something new that will test you a little bit and give you an opportunity to try something different. We do have a tech talk provided to us by Megan V this week, and let's see, this one's about Class Dojo, and there's also a link to the recipe provided there too, and that's a good tool to know about. So thanks for providing that, Megan. And then we have active learning best practices with technology, and so we're just going to discuss this week about what are some best practices for supporting active learning, either using an interactive whiteboard or classroom response system. What are some things that you can find? Do a little search, find some information about supporting active learning with classroom response systems or an interactive whiteboard, and then post a link to whatever you found and talk about it a little bit. So there is quite a bit to do this week. It's in preparation of getting that assignment done and starting on that active learning project. So good luck this week and carry on.